Welcome everyone to today's webinar on Rare to Recognize, Our Path to 2030. My name is Kristie DeMarco and I'm the president and founder of Global DARE Foundation. I'm here today with Susan Kuranoff, vice president and co-founder. Our agenda today includes an overview of Global DARE Foundation's progress this year, including the announcement of our new vision through 2030, which I'm very excited about. So let me tell you a little bit about Global DARE Foundation's mission. Global DARE Foundation was established 6 years ago. DARE stands for Defeat Adult Refsum Everywhere. Our mission is to promote worldwide awareness and better quality of life of those who are diagnosed with adult refsum disease. Our goal is to support research, education initiatives, awareness campaigns, and advocacy. Together with our medical and scientific advisor board, driving research is at the center of what we do because we dare to believe in a cure for adult refsum disease. Now I'd like to provide you a little bit of an overview of our progress to date since we last provided you an update in June. These key accomplishments are instrumental in advancing our mission. Let's start out with research and care. Over the past several years, we've made tremendous strides in advancing science that will ultimately lead us to treatments and better care for people with refsum disease. First, the planning of our refsum natural history study just kicked off. This is a major milestone in our research roadmap. This is the first formal study designed to understand how refsum disease progresses over time. It's being conducted across 3 leading centers, Boston, London, and Leipzig, Germany. What's particularly important about this study is that we've built it in a way that everyone with refsum can participate, even if you're not located near one of these centers. This study is the foundation that will help us get to our first clinical trial. Second, we're expanding our network of care. We just established a new center of excellence in Germany. This center was formalized this summer during our travels, making it an exciting step forward for our patients in Germany. Third, we're building our research roadmap. It's well underway with our scientific director, Dr. Diane Mitchell. She's formed 6 different working groups, each focused in on key priorities from understanding refsum to exploring new potential therapies. She'll be sharing more about that progress in her upcoming webinar. And finally, because everything we do must be centered around the patient, we've launched the Patient Collaborator Program. This is an exciting initiative. This is where patients and families can be active in research. You'll hear more about this program from Susan shortly. These accomplishments mark a period of incredible momentum in our research and care. I'm very excited about the progress that we're making, building a foundation that will bring us closer to real therapies and better outcomes for everyone who are affected with adult refsum disease. We just made tremendous progress in this area over the last 6 years, and we're getting to that right place now. Global awareness and community, let's talk about that. We've made some meaningful connections around the world. Over the past several months, we've hosted both scientific and community meetings that have brought the refsum communities closer together more than ever before. We've held in-person community gatherings in Romania, Germany, and the Netherlands this fall, and we hosted virtual meetings that connected patients across the UK, US, Europe, and Australia. These sessions continue to be so valuable, not only for sharing updates with the community, but also just from learning from the community on what really matters, what's important to people in the community. In addition to these community gatherings, we've also had some very important scientific discussions. We met with a great team at the Apheresis Research Center in Cologne. This is where we're able to actually spend some time trying to understand how apheresis could be helpful for patients and to understand the future of research around this area. During my travels, I also had the opportunity to raise awareness of refsum disease in new parts of the world. I gave a great talk in Malaysia with this group of emerging ophthalmologists, and they were eager to learn about refsum disease and how they could potentially diagnose refsum earlier. And I met with the Japan RP Society and a retinal specialist in Japan, and we were already talking about how we could potentially raise awareness further in that country so that people could get an earlier diagnosis. This makes some tremendous strides in countries where there isn't any people diagnosed currently with Refsum disease. In September, we had a very visible presence at EURETINA in Paris, where Global DARE hosted an exhibit booth for the first time. It was a wonderful opportunity to connect with eye specialists, researchers, and potential collaborators. Susan's going to provide a much more detailed information on the results of that event. And finally, to ensure our work continues to reflect what matters most to the community, we launched a global priority survey in September. The insights from that survey will directly inform the research work groups that Diane is leading, ensuring that our scientific efforts are focused on what matters to the community. Together, these efforts are helping to raise awareness, strengthen partnerships, and unite our community, all of which are essential to continue to push forward towards a better understanding, earlier diagnosis, and ultimately effective treatments. Finally, let's talk a little bit about sustainability and growth. Over the past several months, we're building an organization that will be strong and long-lasting. We want to make sure that we can continue to deliver on the momentum that we've delivered to date and have positive outcomes for people with Refsum disease. First, we've developed a bold new vision for 2030. As I mentioned, I'm excited about. This vision builds on an incredible momentum of the past year, fueled by the CZI grant that we won last year and the success of our Refsum Without Borders campaign. It sets a clear course for the next 5 years. I'll be sharing more about that exciting new vision later in this presentation. Second, to bring this vision to life, we've created a fundraising plan for 2026 and 2027. This plan focuses on diversifying our funding sources and strengthening our donor base, ensuring that we have the funding needed to advance research, expand our programs, and support the community. And third, to execute on this plan effectively, we're expanding our team. We've launched the search for a part-time development director, a dedicated, experienced fundraising professional who will lead our efforts to ensure that funding needed to achieve our mission is achieved. We are currently in the interview phase and expect to have this new team member on board at the beginning of 2026. Together, these steps mark a major evolution for Global DARE Foundation, moving us from a small volunteer-led initiative to a strategically driven, professionally supported, and financially sustainable organization to deliver on our mission and vision. Now I'm going to hand it over to Susan to provide an update on the outcomes from EURETINA, updates on our food testing program, and our new patient collaborator program. Over to you, Susan.
Thanks very much, Kristie. So for the first time, the Global DARE Foundation took part in a major international ophthalmology congress in Europe, as Kristie mentioned previously, the EURETINA Congress in Paris. So this event was held from September 4th to the 7th, and it was buzzing with eye care specialists from around the world. So our three delegates, so Kristie from the US, myself, Susan from Switzerland, and Tegan Scown from Australia, represented 3 continents at our exhibition booth. Over the course of the 4 days, we had the opportunity to connect with close to 160 ophthalmologists and retina specialists from around 60 countries. And during this time, we distributed more than 300 postcards, which featured key information about Refsum disease and the Global DARE Foundation. Not surprisingly, many of the physicians that we spoke with actually told us that they'd never heard of Refsum disease, but that they were eager to learn more. Several said that when they got back to their practice, they would now review their RP patients for possible Refsum symptoms. And that is really a direct and meaningful impact. Overall, the feedback that we got was extremely positive. The clinicians appreciated hearing directly for the first time from a patient advocacy group. And this experience helped position the Global DARE Foundation really as a credible global voice and a valued partner in rare eye disease awareness. So on the next slide, you can see our exhibition booth. It may have been tiny at just 6 square meters, but it made a big impression. Our large pull-up banner showing our key Refsum symptoms drew strong attention, as well as our flyer and postcards, which delivered a clear and informative message. The booth was set up as an open bistro table setup that we felt really invited our visitors in, and it made it easy for us to start conversations. What stood out the most for us was the genuine interest. So people really wanted to understand Refsum, and that's exactly why being visible at congresses like this in person really matters. So overall, we felt that Uretina gave us visibility, credibility, and new collaboration opportunities on a global stage. Moving on to the next slide, let's take a look at one of our most practical initiatives, our food testing program. We learned from our recent patient survey that this is one of the most important programs for our community. And as you know, dietary management is the main cornerstone of Refsum care. So avoiding high phytanic acid foods can prevent serious health complications. But of course, accurate, reliable food testing is essential to make those choices. Our traffic light food testing system was launched in 2022, which categorized foods based on their phytanic acid content. So green for safe, yellow for caution, and red for high-risk foods. Then in 2024, following the results of additional food testing, it was further refined to incorporate level 1 and level 2 guidance. Just to reiterate, level 1 provides basic classification based on total phytanic acid content only. Level 2 goes deeper, accounting for phytyl fatty acid esters, which are thought to be converted to phytanic acid in the body and therefore could contribute to circulating phytanic acid levels. So why is this important? Because some foods may appear safe at first glance, but when broken down further, they may actually release phytyl in the body over time. So that's why testing for both phytyl and phytyl fatty esters is essential to deliver more nuanced dietary recommendations. Our fatty acid testing program at the Kennedy Krieger Institute in the US, where we have strong scientific partners, is moving forward this year. That's great news. However, that said, due to the increased complexity of testing for those individual components that I just mentioned, the cost has increased, but it is essential for accuracy. So thanks to a $20,000 grant from Refsum Germany, up to 35 new foods are now in the process of being analyzed. And when these results are available, they'll be integrated into our traffic light diet recommendations and will help ensure that we have the most reliable, up-to-date information when making food choices. Finally, a scientific manuscript is in development. This will document both our testing methodology and the results of food testing funded by DARE. This will ensure our dietary guidance remains evidence-based and trustworthy, paving the way for wider acceptance of our diet guidelines. Next slide, please. So while we advance the science, we're equally committed to bringing the patient voice directly to the table. One of our most recent initiatives that I'm excited about is how we're embedding patient perspectives into research and advocacy with our patient collaborator program. This program gives those living with Refsums or their caregivers a structured role in research and outreach. So we now have 11 volunteers from 6 countries enrolled, forming a truly global collaborator group. If you are interested in becoming a collaborator, please reach out as space is still available. So we've been asked about training for the collaborators. A total of 12 collaborator training modules will begin rolling out later this month. These are a series of short 25-minute videos on research concepts, the clinical development process, and advocacy, to name just a few. So with these modules, our goal is to equip our collaborators to be able to engage scientists and clinicians as equal partners. Because collaborators truly understand the challenges and unmet needs of living with Refsum, collaborators can help ensure that future study designs reflect real-world needs, that barriers to participation in studies are identified early, and that patients have a voice in advisory boards and research roundtables. We expect that an advocator will also help to raise awareness, support emerging therapies, and advocate for better care and resources. So as you can see, this program builds a real bridge between the scientific community and the patient community, representing those living with Refsum disease. So together, these efforts, our global outreach, our scientific rigor, and patient partnership show how far DARE has come and how united we are in our mission to defeat adult Refsum disease everywhere. Now I'll hand back to you, Kristie.
All right, thank you, Susan, for providing the update on those valuable programs. Now, I'd like to, as I mentioned, talk to you a little bit about our bold new vision that I'm very excited about. By 2030, our plans are to launch our first ever clinical trial in Refsum disease, and we want to cut the time to diagnosis in half. We all know it takes about 15 to 20 years to get a diagnosis. Being able to diagnose earlier will make significant strides in improving people's quality of life. We want to build a future where no one faces these decades of uncertainty and where we finally have science that gives us answers. We're confident we can achieve this vision because the groundwork has already been laid. We've talked about in the past years what strong partnerships we've built. We've launched key critical research efforts with our patient registry, now our natural history study, our pilot research studies, and we're raising awareness in ways that have already led to earlier diagnosis in many ways. And we're creating new collaborations all the time. All of the pieces are in place. We will bring this vision to life with a strong roadmap, active community engagement that's so critical in making sure that we're meeting all of your needs, and by securing $2 million to be able to deliver the mission. Now let me talk a little bit about the priorities that will help us meet this vision. We've defined 3 clear priorities in our roadmap. Each one is essential to turning the vision into reality. First, we're driving research needed to enable therapies. Through our patient registry, natural history study, and pilot studies, we're building critical scientific foundation that will make clinical trials possible. The majority of the funding requirement, approximately $1.2 million, will be allocated to strengthening research infrastructure that is robust, patient-focused, and global. Second, we're accelerating diagnosis through awareness and education. Every year we save on the diagnostic journey means more sight preserved, more hearing retained, and more independence maintained. Clinician education, outreach, and awareness account for approximately $300,000 of our funding requirement. And third, we're building and supporting the global Refsum community. As you know, for many families, Global DARE is the only place where they truly feel seen, understood, and supported. Continuing to expand our programs, provide resources, and strengthen our community network will require about $500,000 in funding. Together, these 3 priorities and $2 million in total funding work hand in hand to bring this vision to life. So the time to act is now. You've heard that we've been able to accomplish a lot. All of that's been on limited resources and an incredibly dedicated volunteer team. With the recent investment with CZI, we've taken a major step forward. We've added capacity, we've built new collaborations, expanded our global reach, and most importantly, we've gained momentum, real momentum that can actually move us forward. Now, imagine what we can do with more support. If we can raise $2 million, that will make tremendous strides in being able to get to that first clinical trial and cutting our time to diagnosis in half. We're not just funding research, we're helping people keep their sight, preserve their hearing, and maintain their independence. This is a moment to really change the trajectory of this disease. As we move into our annual appeal this year, please consider donating. Every single dollar helps us accelerate diagnosis, improve patient care, and bring us closer to the first ever clinical trial for adult Refsum disease. So in closing, I'd like to say thank you for joining and taking the time to learn more about the progress we've been making as a community and hear about our upcoming vision. We know that you might have many questions after watching this presentation. Since this is pre-recorded, we encourage you to reach out to us directly with your questions, your feedback, and your ideas. You can email us at any time at info@globaldare.org. With your partnership, we can make sure that by 2030, Refsum disease moves from rare to recognized, and from diagnosis delays to timely answers, and from hope to real treatments. Thank you again, and we look forward to hearing from you.